But this weekend really gives you an opportunity to kind of go back to your roots and, just teach them everything from the ground up. And, there's no small detail. And so they're all sponges. You got to assume that they don't really know much of anything that we're talking to them about. They've all played football. They've all been good football players where they've been. But, they don't really know our system. We're trying to give them a foundation. So a lot of teaching. We're trying to do it at a fast pace. But, again, that's really determined by the guys in each coach's room. They're the ones that are going to dictate how quickly you can go through the information and how quickly you can't. So a lot of eager faces, cramming a lot into each day, makes the days go by fast.
First impression of Jarrett Stidham?
I met Jared when he came here on the pre-draft visit, and it's basically the same. Very consistent guy, smart, good personality. Asks good questions. Has a mind for football. A sponge right now, trying to soak up everything he can. Good demeanor, and I'm looking forward to getting out there on the field and having an opportunity to work with him, actually playing the position today.
The things that you saw, I'm sure you watched some tape that needed some work. Did they seem like explainable? Mistakes or things that that's not.
I think the big thing you have to look at when you're looking at the body of work of a player coming out in the draft is there's a lot of factors that contribute to good quarterback play, and there's a lot of factors that contribute to play that's a little bit less than that, and so you take all the good and the bad and you try to understand why it was or wasn't something. If a guy misses a throw, sometimes that's his fault and sometimes it's not. And there's protection that goes along with that, plays, design, all the rest of it. So every quarterback we've ever evaluated here, we try to take and look at it in the big picture. What does he do well? What traits does he possess? And then, you try to, factor those into what we try to do here. And if it's a fit in that regard, they all come in and have so much to learn. It's really about traits and the opportunity to kind of take a clean slate and then fill it with whatever you want to fill it with. So I would say that applies to all of our players, but quarterbacks in particular, they come in with a specific background. They've been taught something. Usually it doesn't mesh with what we do here because college football is so different now. It's just a different game.
Is it kind of what Bill was talking about in terms of the things that don't mesh? The passing game, it's a little bit more elementary. There's fewer reads, fewer routes.
Yeah, they're allowed to use different formations. They got, different, the speed sweeps and the RPOs and all those things are a factor in college football now. Mostly every team is using some version of those things. And so some offenses may have a little bit more application to ours and our level than others, but there's plenty of them that, look, they're doing what they're told at college.
Sure.
And college football is great fun to watch, and, there's a lot of really high-level football being played across the country and coached. It's just their game is a little bit different than ours.
They only have the guys for a minute. They can't.
Yeah.
Can I just follow up with N'Keal Harry?
Yeah.
He's almost, I hate to say unique because there's plenty of receivers like that around, but I try to think of a big, strong guy, and I go back to Givens and Josh Gordon a little bit last year.
Yep.
He is a little unique for this offense.
He is. We've had some experience with bigger players periodically, I know everybody makes a big deal of that because we have had, some players that are a little smaller, be successful, whether, be Troy or Wes or Danny. I don't really include Julian in that category, but Julian's not a big guy. I think the biggest thing that we try to do with our team and our offense in particular, as I'm talking about it, is just take guys that have a skill and a talent and don't try to fit them to what we've done in the past. If you try to do that, you tell me where the next Troy Brown is or tell me where the next Logan Mankins is and the next Tom Brady, and you try to go get that guy. But those guys just don't, it's not that easy, So you have to have enough flexibility and versatility in your system that you can maybe, feature the X receiver or the Z receiver or the tight end or two tight ends or the halfback or whatever style you want to be. it should reflect the talents of your team. And so that's kind of what we're going to do with him and see what happens. And again, he's a rookie, got a long way to go, but in terms of him being different, he is, and we'll try to see what he does well, and then hopefully keep him in that wheelhouse.
Will that be fun as well hopefully fun for the quarterback to say, oh wow, this kid can high point the ball, this kid can use his body, use his leverage, use back shoulder, all those things.
I think it's always
a new toy.
I think it's always interesting when you add an element for players that maybe they haven't necessarily done as much of something. Years ago we hadn't been a big 12 personnel team with 2 tight ends, and all of a sudden we did that. Back in 2007 we went to 11 personnel and spread the field. Years later we were more of a tempo team. It is cool. I think it kind of moves and it really reflects your team.
Is it who you have, or is it the matchups you could exploit?
I think it's both at the same time. You know what I mean? I think you got to look at who you have and what they do well, and then you got to look at, all right, who are we playing and what are the best advantages we can gain this week, and you try to, as many times as you can in a game, you try to gain an advantage, and sometimes that's with skill, sometimes that's with size, sometimes that's with tempo, sometimes that's with play style or personnel groupings, but you just take as many good football players as you can, put them in our room, try to coach them the best we can. And again, right now, we're not really making any of those determinations. Today and the next so many months are about foundation, evaluation, let them rep, see what happens. Is it good enough? Is it not? Do we need to change something? Keep doing it. I don't think we really know the answers about exactly what we're going to look like in September and October yet. That's for another day down the road, but that's why this part of the year is fun.
Josh, you don't consider Julian Edelman the same type of player as Amendola and Walker?
He plays some of the same position, but I would say just in general terms, I think that's always been a kind of a misconception. Troy played inside the formation. Danny played inside the formation. Wes played inside the formation. Julian plays a lot outside the formation. And so, does Julian do some of those things inside? Absolutely, he does. But he does a lot more on the outside, in the running game, passing game, than those guys did in particular.
He has a similar body type, so what allows him to do those extra things?
It's just the nature of what he's kind of become and worked himself into. Been here a long time, so he's had a lot of opportunity to do some different things, and we try to give all our guys a chance to, learn and try to rep and get better at something, to increase their versatility. Julian the whole story. I mean, came as a quarterback, played some defense, ran, punt return, slot receiver, outside receiver, we've had him, line up at quarterback. I mean, so he's done a lot of things, and he's graduating this weekend, so, which is a cool thing. But, it's just, there's a little bit of a difference, from my eye based on the way we've used him and what he's been able to do for us necessarily than those other guys.
Sorry for a different topic. Tom Brady hasn't been around. Have you stayed in touch with him this offseason? Or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talk. And like I said, we have a good relationship, and his family's doing well, and he's doing well. So, again, this is kind of I think similar to last year. When he's here, he'll be here. When he's not, he's not. It's voluntary, and to each his own.
Are you only expecting him for minicamp at this point?
I haven't really pinned that question on him, and I don't think it's really my responsibility to do that. I mean, I know he's working his butt off, and he'll be ready, and so when he walks through the door, I'll be excited to see him.
Does losing Gronk change the way you prepare?
I think every year when you lose players, look, Gronk's a great player. We all know that. Trent Brown was an exceptional player for us last year. Nate Solder before that. I mean, Danny Amendola. The list goes on and on. I don't think any two teams have ever been really the same for us. And so I think our mindset is the same as it is during the course of the season. If you have an injury, you can't sit there and complain about it. You can't make excuses. No one cares. Gronk was a great player. And he did a lot for us. And, our job is to try to figure out how to move the ball and score just as many points without him. And so that might look different. Maybe some will be the same. I don't know, but it's obviously part of our game during the season, and it's obviously part of every team's offseason.
Josh, you were talking before about N'Keal Harry and how big he is. It seems like every receiver you guys have brought in this season has been 6'2", 220. Is that your new guys' type now?
We don't have a type. I mean, like I said, if they're short and can get open, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, we have guys that can can go up and get the ball a little bit, and we have other guys that their strength is more quickness inside. Is no real prototype for us. I mean, Phillips one way, N'Keal's another. Mo Harris is different than Bruce Ellington was, and different than Ryan Davis, and so we've got some size. We've got some guys that maybe are a little smaller but have a little bit better quickness. We'll just try to see what they can all do out here when we get through OTAs and into training camp, and then figure out how to use them all.
Just getting back to Tom for a second, so you don't have any expectation that he might be here for passing camp, or you're just going to take him as he
Yeah,
comes?
I don't know the answer to that. The question is, what I was saying is I have no idea. You know what I mean? When he's here, I'll be happy to see him, and I trust completely what he's doing. I'm sure he's in good shape, in good condition, and preparing for the year.
Your tight ends have a kind of a completely new look, or an old look, depending on your view of Ben Watson. Is there a similar expectation for what you expect from the group, or something completely different?
I think that's probably going to be determined. Again, I think, look, nobody's going to replace Rob, so it doesn't matter what we're doing or who we bring in. That person's not just going to drop into the offense and say, okay, I got his role covered. I mean, that's not going to happen. So I think what you do is you take, the best group that you can put together, figure out what their strengths are, and try to play to them. So at this point, I don't really know. It would be unfair for me to say that, because I haven't really seen many of them out there in our scheme against the defense. Obviously, nothing in pads. I think OTAs and training camp will be big for us this year in terms of evaluating what we have and the way we should play. But in May, it's tough to say. It's tough to project that.
Sorry, in light of that, do you see Isaiah Wynn as a left tackle? Where do you see him fitting in?
I see, Isaiah's certainly going to work there, but we have, as we always have, we have kind of our mind on, making sure each player's versatility is maximized. Last year when we had him here and working, we worked him at multiple positions. I think he was actually playing right tackle when he got injured, but the bottom line for us is we want to work centers and guards inside. We want to work tackles at tackle and guard if they can do it, or left and right tackle if that's possible. Because at the end of the day, I think our number one responsibility is to try to put the best 5 linemen out there at the end of training camp and each week that we play. So Isaiah will certainly get opportunities there, and we'll see kind of what happens with the competition.
Is life a little different right now with Chad elsewhere? I mean, you talked already about the changes, but Chad's elsewhere, Jerry's elsewhere.
Yep.
It's a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
Do you like it like that?
I think we have a great staff now. I mean, Joe's certainly going to, do a good job with us, now offensively, and we've increased Cole's responsibility. Joe Judge.
Joe went to offense?
Yeah. So,
What's his
so
tight
we're, you'll see him working with the receivers.
All right.
Interesting.
So yeah. So I just think that's part of the deal. We're gonna kind of we have plenty of hands. Chad O'Shea was a great receivers coach, the best one that I've ever been around, and he's deserving of the opportunity that he has now in Miami. I'm very happy for him and his family, and Jerry likewise. Jerry did a great job here, and I'm sure he'll do a great job, in his role down there also. So we got a great group, love the staff, and again, that's always kind of a fun thing for us is, when you have change, you have two choices. You can sit and, complain about what it's not like, or you can sit there and say, man, this is kind of cool and fresh and new, and it gives you another opportunity to share the foundation of our system and talk about our terminology and the genesis of where things came from that sometimes you don't do if you're together for a long time. So this has been a great opportunity for us to get back to that. Like I said, our group is really, really good. They're working really hard, and there's kind of a different style of energy to that group because, there's a lot of learning going on, and everybody's got a great deal of excitement headed into this spring.
Jerry worked a lot with the younger guys. Do you have someone to help you with? You have 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah, Mick. Mick's gonna be in that role, and he's doing a great job. He's got some significant experience. He's been other places. He's learned from other coaches. He has ideas, of his own that, they're unfamiliar to me. So that's been really cool. Works hard. Our staff works incredibly hard. I mean, we're so blessed with the people that we have here that we get to work with. It's unbelievable. So, there'll be more than my 2 hands on the quarterback. So Mick will do a great job with them, and he already has.
How do you feel about the depth and the versatility at running back?
Yeah, we, it's always been a position of significance to us, because we try to do a lot of different things with that position. I think, adding some guys here in this rookie camp, Damian and Brissett. I mean, we'll see how that shakes out and unfolds. But it's nice to have Brandon back. Brandon has been a great Patriot. Has played a significant role in us winning a lot of football games over the last so many years, and he's got a great work ethic and attitude. It's really cool to have him back out there, and Sony's progressing, and James and Rex, and so again, the competition is really what's exciting. A lot of times you only put one of them on the field, so they know that. So there's going to be some fierce competition in the room, and they're going to all try to fight for playing time. But I know this: they got a great attitude. They're very unselfish. They'll do whatever we ask of them, and hopefully we can maximize the group as a whole.